K.T.E. Put it together. What do you get? A wrestling podcast, unlike any other. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
If it's your first time joining us here, this is Tyler doing an Australian accent, despite the fact that we were in London here.
And we are very thankful all that is done.
Yeah.
The international crowds were somewhat entertaining, but other than that, the shows kind of weren't. But we're going to make it through this episode.
Yeah, the last 3 weeks is what it's been for our international shows. And this one was a double feature in London, England.
Ooh,
I think both shows were in the O2 Arena, weren't they?
probably. I would assume so. I don't know why you'd go from one to then, oh, hey, SmackDown's over in Wembley Stadium.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah, but I don't know, the showcases this weekend were still pretty cool because you got the chants that came along with it, despite the fact that they were in Bologna one day and they were in Scotland the other, Glasgow.
It's always cool to do these international tours, but like we said last week, there's so much time up until Mania. It's like they called this the Road to Mania International, but we still have 3 weeks till Mania, or 2 weeks till Mania as of Saturday. So,
well, I know you're a big rumor guy, but I saw that the whole reason that they did these international tours was just because Cena's movie schedule was closer to the international line.
I didn't hear any about that, but I did hear supposedly there's a rumor that WrestleMania 43
next year's or 2 years from now.
I don't know. I heard that London's possibly getting WrestleMania here.
Oh, so 2 years from now?
The next couple years. That's what I've heard. It could have been an April Fool's joke because, April Fool's Day. But,
well, yeah. The one day of the year that pisses everybody off.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, is that news real?
Yep. I saw one yesterday. I saw one, and it was from an AEW thing. It said, sources say Jey Uso got released. I was like, oh, okay. Okay. You guys can go eat yourselves off on that one.
But it's just interesting. I know Europe is, for the most part, condensed into a short space. So if you can have one chant in one area and then go to another area that's relatively close, but they've still got their own identities and still have the same kind of chants like Cody, Cody Rhodes, Cody, Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, I wouldn't bring up Cody. Cena spanked him on the mic there.
Well,
day,
yeah,
so
we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Something we definitely needed, but
I know in watching the shows, because I watched Raw with Elijah this weekend, he loves all those chants. He's like, man, they need to go to the international areas more often.
Of course he would. But
so I was like, oh, we need to get you on there with Connor and have a word with him. But in the meantime, we'll start it off with your low down.
Man, SmackDown was all right. I mean, it started off with Cody coming out trying to say something. Then Randy decided to pop up and was like, okay, are we setting up? Well, we still don't know when that feud's going to happen, if it even happens, because we don't know, obviously, the outcome of Mania Night 2.
I feel like they did that as just a sprinkle to say, hey, Backlash is in St. Louis.
Yeah, and say, hey, I mean, but there's also rumors that Cena Orton one last time at some point this retirement tour. So, but I mean, it was kind of cool. Then Drew came out and interrupted, and Randy was like, you know what? I want to fight you just because. And then they ended up scheduling the match, and obviously that was your main event, I believe. No, main event was the contract signing, but then you had a couple matches. You had the tag title match with Pretty Deadly getting a title match, which that's something I never thought I'd see. But Street Profits, they got some crazy competition coming their way, so I'm excited to see what they put on the Mania cards with those titles. Because obviously we probably won't get a Raw, because I don't even know what the hell your tag champs are. So, and see, a 3-hour show is kind of good to where a 2.5-hour show is good, but they cut out a lot. It's like you have Netflix that says, oh, you guys can put on an 8-hour show if you want. And WWE's like, no, we're going to put a 2.5-hour show on. It's like,
yeah, we'll get to the tag division when we talk about Raw.
But and then we had a mid Tiffany and Charlotte thing with Tiffany going off or whatever, and that feud's kind of just I'm just kind of over it. I mean, it's been the same again. This is the problem that WWE dug themselves in a hole is because they decided, you know what, April 19th and 20th we're gonna put WrestleMania. It's gonna be the greatest road to WrestleMania ever. I think last year's 100% is way better. The build up last year. Now WrestleMania this year could be amazing. Could be
Yeah.
almost as good as last year's. But the build up last year was so much better than this build up that's been.
Well, and I think of, not to distract from your SmackDown review, but I think of WrestleMania 31. The build up to that was absolute dumpster fire,
Hmm.
and the Mania itself is great.
Yeah,
One of my favorite Manias of at least the past 15 years.
yeah, I can agree with that. Now there's been some road to manias where you're just like, okay, let's get to Mania at this point
Yeah.
because we've had so much times. Because you could have extended Elimination Chamber out a little bit instead of what a month ago. You could have done it 2 weeks ago. Had the next 3 weeks do international shows and then like set up for Mania, but because, like I said, we've had so much time that we're sitting here, and it's like I'm not even enthusiastic to talk about Raw SmackDown anymore. Like, obviously, we're gonna keep doing it. We're gonna give our insights on it. But like, my personal opinion is like, oh hey, SmackDown's on. Twitter, Twitter, Twitter. Okay, cool. I kind of know what's going on. So, I haven't really been as excited, and it sucks because I love wrestling. I love WWE, but I just can't get myself to watch it because I'm like, okay, Charlotte and Tiffany again. Okay, Charlotte wins. Charlotte beats the crap out of her. Okay. All right, Randy's coming out. Him and KO are gonna fight. Okay, well that's that. And okay, Street Profits are still champs. All right, what's next week? I'm also not a fan of the announcer. The new
Yeah, I was going to
that
ask your opinion
I
on
I
that.
am not a fan of that guy. He is not a WWE guy. If you wanted to put I don't know if it's because Lillian's just done. I don't know why they switched it.
You think maybe she was just a temporary fill-in? And
Possibly, but you already have a guy who's electric in NXT. Mike Rome is a fantastic and ringing out like whatever. And why don't you just put him back on SmackDown? Like he just fits it. You're gonna bring this guy who's a boxing dude. It's like, and he's just not good. And then you got Alicia Taylor over on Raw. It's like these guys aren't good. Like I don't know, put Lillian back on Raw and put Mike on SmackDown. But
I,
uh,
I was taken aback when I heard him at first. I thought, who is this guy? He doesn't sound bad, but for some reason, he just doesn't. I don't know if he's just not polished in that way. Because you'd think if he is a boxing announcer, like you said, he would be a little more polished. His voice sounds like he's new at this.
yeah,
It doesn't sound guttural enough. It doesn't sound like he's got his voice refined to the point, because it almost sounded like he was, and maybe this is just his voice. I don't know. This is the first time I'm hearing the guy, but it sounded like his voice is a squeaker.
yeah.
He's like, introducing Cody Rhodes.
Hey, I'd prefer that over what the hell he did on fucking Friday. But I mean, it just I don't understand why they keep bringing these outside hires in, and why not? I don't know. Corey Graves and Wade Barrett on SmackDown. Put Joe back in ESPN because Joe doesn't fit. Um, then you got Pat and Michael on Raw yeeting all over the tables. And then you could just put Lily in there, or I don't know, find somebody else. Because this is how I get when it gets like so far out. Because like I said, there's not much else to talk about. It's literally the same thing on repeat every week. It's like,
Which is a shame, because that shouldn't be the case when you have a week like the triple threat contract signing.
exactly,
And
that's
Cody Rhodes and John Cena face to face. Those one segments can't save an entire show.
and it did though. The triple threat contract signing, it did though. I am not a fan of it being main event though. That's my personal opinion on it. I don't know if it's because Roman needs another main event. I don't know if it's because CM Punk finally gets his main event. I don't know, but I don't think that's the right move. You had the contract signing Friday, and you go into Raw, and you had Gunther beat the absolute shit, pardon my French, absolute shit out of Jimmy, and Jay just was like, we'll talk about that, but I if you were gonna pull that card Monday, why would you announce this to be the triple threat main event? Why would you announce that to be the main event? And they're like, it's the biggest main event of all time. I have 100% feeling I know how this match is gonna go. CM Punk's gonna hit a GTS on both of them. Seth's gonna hit a stomp on both of them. Roman's gonna try to spear Seth. He's gonna get tripped by Paul Heyman. Seth's gonna pick up the win at Mania. That's just my guess. It probably will change when we get to predictions, but the way I see it, because I've heard rumors, see, Paul Heyman's not gonna be a Roman Reigns guy after WrestleMania. So,
And you think he's going to turn on both of his guys to be with Seth Rollins?
it wouldn't surprise me.
Huh.
Paul Heyman picked the Big Show over Brock Lesnar, so
Fair. Fair.
But like I said, you if you're gonna pull that card on Monday where you're gonna have Gunther just beat the absolute piss out of Jimmy, and then Jay's gonna be like, okay, we're going like balls to the walls. Okay, why is that not the main event night one? I get it's because Jimmy's not the best Rumble winner ever. Okay, you're telling me Alberto Del Rio really deserved to win Royal Rumble? I don't know. You're really telling me Brock Lesnar needed to win in 2022 or 23? Huh. There's so many things here that just don't sit well with me on that. But
Now, I will reference what we talked about last week in that the triple threat, we said it has a potential to be in the main event, and obviously they've announced it as night one main event.
yeah,
But something needs to be on the line.
yes.
And there is still time because the favor is looming over still.
And
we talked about that.
Yeah, and apparently the favor wasn't WrestleMania main
Which
event. So
last
what,
week you said that would have been such a wet
yeah,
fart.
so what is the favor? It's like, when are we gonna finally get the favor like answered? Like, is it gonna be on Raw or SmackDown? Is it gonna be after Mania? What is it? Or is it gonna be like he's gonna be doing a backstage segment with Paul? He goes, Paul, I want my favor tonight. And it's like, well, what's the favor then? Like, I don't know. We already got it as a triple threat, which I'm kind of excited for. I'm not saying this match isn't going to be good. I think this match is going to be one of the best matches on the card the entire weekend. Just because the hatred all three of each other have for each other. Rollins hates Punk. Punk really doesn't dislike either. He hates Punk. He hates Rollins. He doesn't dislike Roman. Roman hates Rollins because of getting backstabbed, but I don't know. That was the highlight of SmackDown. The the lowest point was probably the Tiffany and Charlotte stuff. I've lost so much interest in that feud. I thought that feud was gonna be just this. I thought this was like, this had a potential of being main event. Absolutely not. I'm very thankful it's not. But it just, I've lost interest in it. It's kind of like I've lost interest in the Rhea Ripley stuff over on Raw. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to be a fan at the moment when you still have, what are we at, April 3rd?
April 3rd,
We still have
4th,
17 days. Okay, 16 days because it's night one. We have 16 days until WrestleMania starts.
Let me just check our handy dandy calendar.
Exactly.
Oh, yes, it is. It is April 3rd today.
But yeah, it's like we still have 16 days. There's not much else they can do. Like, I guarantee you Friday is gonna be the same stuff. It's gonna be the same stuff as last week. Cody's gonna come out. What do you want to talk about? Wearing a jumpsuit, or he's gonna wear his thing, holding a title he needs to. I've always hated the way he carries the title. I've hated it. No, where he's holding it like this. He's like walks out and he's carrying it like that. I'm like, I hate that.
Well, you would have hate Nick Aldis then, because that's how he carried the
Oh,
NWA
probably.
World Title. Yeah.
But I don't know. like I said, it's hard to be a fan when there's still 16 days left and it's the same stuff every week. Like if WrestleMania was Saturday, I'd be all for it. But all right, let's go. It's time. It's Mania time. Let's get this going. But we still have 16 days left. There's still a lot of time for things to just lose my interest. I'm still obviously I'm not. This isn't me going. Oh, Connor, no. Like I'm gonna still watch. I'm still a fan. It's just it's one of those moments you have as a fan that you're like,
You've lost the hype.
yeah, we lost the hype probably in my opinion, I think we lost the hype 2 weeks ago. That's just my opinion. Um, but who knows? Maybe Friday, next Monday, and then all the way up until Mania, they surprise me. We'll see. I am excited to see that they're finally putting moments in the Hall of Fame, though. I don't know if you saw that. They're putting Hogan, or not Hogan, they're putting Austin and Bret Hart, I think WrestleMania 13, in the Hall of Fame.
So that's what that was?
Mhm.
Okay, I was super confused
Yep.
as to what that meant.
They're actually putting like moments, like good moments in the Hall of Fame. Which this Hall of Fame class is kind of rough.
You think maybe they just didn't have a whole
I
lot
don't-
of people they could reach out to?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the Hall of Fame with the last couple years, but like, why is Booker T's wife in the Hall of Fame? Did she ever wrestle?
In WCW a little bit,
Okay,
I think. I'm fairly sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, comments, but
yeah,
I think she was wrestled in WCW just as.
a smidge.
Yeah.
But okay, but then
But she's definitely in there more for character purposes
right,
than anything
but
else. Just like how a manager would
right,
go in there.
but that's the one that really blew my mind. It's like really, but I just the last couple of years, man, the Hall of Fame has not been what it was. I think I never really watched the Hall of Fame stuff, but I definitely had to watch the Undertaker's
Mm.
because that was my guy. The Undertaker forever was my guy, and WrestleMania season used to always be fun because of the Undertaker. Now that he's officially done, it's like you don't get that surprise. Dong. It's like but so yeah, I've rambled enough. So let's talk about Raw.
Well, I mean, yeah, SmackDown had its stuff, and they announced it as triple threat. We'll see where the favor takes us.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think we're headed towards places with like the United States Championship with Fatu. I'm sure we'll get somewhere just
Yeah.
because of the shenanigans that happened. But I think you're right in when you said about Charlotte Flair and Tiffany. They're running into the same problem that Jay and Gunther is of how much time they had to build the feud. The only problem is there's less blood in that feud than there is in the Jey Uso Gunther feud, which we'll get to. We'll talk about. We'll talk about right now, actually. When I heard Gunther talk about the 10 weeks of hell, this is our Raw recap, by the way. This is what I pictured.
Yes.
If this would have happened, let's say 3 weeks ago, we could have been on a hotter trajectory. If what we had done these past 2 weeks, Jay doubting himself last week, and then this week having the blood feud, if we would have had those, just kind of would have taken out all that A-Town Down Under crap and placed it back a little bit, this would be a far more interesting and engaging feud.
You know what I could have seen them doing? They pulled the card with Triple H and Roman Reigns building up to 32. Roman got his face busted. He was off TV for a couple weeks. I'm not saying Jimmy or Jay doesn't need to be on TV, but like if you have Gunther telling him this is gonna be 10 weeks of hell, after week 3, just beats the ever loving crap out of his brother, out of him, and Jay goes away for a couple weeks, and then 2 weeks before Mania, next week, which would be 2 weeks before Mania, next week you hear, and Jay comes back. You know the crowd, the pop that would have had. But
That could have been very
but
interesting. You could add even to that point, and when he told Jay, he said, "Hey, don't pick me, or I'll make your life a living hell." I
yeah,
mean, yeah,
that could have been that
yeah, he
moment.
picks him, and then boom, takes him
Right.
out, and he's out for 2 weeks.
Right. And then it just builds up the momentum cuz like you said, it's running into that wall where we've known who these two were going against since Rumble. And that was back in February. February what, 1st, I think, the first day of February, but yeah, they've run into that wall where it's like, okay, they've built this up for so long, and um I can't believe it's already been almost 10 weeks that Gunther actually was right. I
Mm.
mean, I'm very shocked at that, but you could have pulled this card like you said. Take out the A Town Down Under stuff, and you could have put that Jimmy and Jay segment in there and written Jay off TV for a minute, let Jay think about it and be at home and whatever. I mean, he could still be at the building, whatever. Just keep him off TV for a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, next week, 2 weeks before, Gunther's like, "Oh, I told you, Jay." And then all of a sudden, Jay's music hits, and then it's all out brawl. Like,
As they've been saying the past couple weeks, it's on site with these two. Like on SmackDown,
yeah,
Drew and Priest, which that's turning into a cool rivalry. But
yeah, that rivalry. I'm going back to SmackDown real quick. That's probably another cool one. And then unfortunately, Drew did get some actual glass in his eye, supposedly.
the eye patch, that's what
Yeah.
that was for.
And then
Okay.
it was still funny seeing CM Punk walk by. He goes,
Huh.
that little AEW references,
Real glass.
but yeah, going back to that feud though, is they could have done it a little better. I mean, I'm still excited to see because I really hope they pull the trigger with Jay winning. I
Yeah.
mean, Gunther's reign, he's had it long enough. And I think I asked this question last week. What has been the hype with Gunther being a champion his entire time in WWE? He was UK champion for 980 days. He was Intercontinental champion for like 600 days. It's like, why is he getting all these title reigns? He's okay on the mic, but his ring skills are in my opinion. So there's going to be a topic about that going into Mania. So um,
Hey, I'll let the comments.
that's fine.
I'll let
Y'all,
the Facebook and the YouTube comments fight with you on that once they find you
I
out.
get enough I get enough crap on there anyways. It's fine.
They'd be like, "How dare you talk to Walter like that?"
Walter.
Yeah.
I know it was Gunther. Used to be Walter, which they could have just kept Walter. I liked Walter better.
Yeah, well, you know Vince McMahon, name change, happy-go-lucky guy. His world title, it's a shame. It is a shame because Rollins lost the belt to McIntyre. Priest cashed in. From that moment forward, we had a reign from Priest that was more so about his character arc in the Judgment Day than it was about the world title.
Mhm.
Credit to WWE. After Priest lost the belt, he became a bigger star than he was with the belt. So credit to them in using the belt to make the guy a bigger star.
Yeah.
Even though the reign was bad, it wasn't good. He became a bigger star off the back of it.
Mhm.
Lackluster world title reign. Gunther's world title reign has not been very entertaining.
Mm-mm.
It's been, this is the Gunther character. We're going to put him in matches against people, and the story's going to be minimal. I would say the most entertaining match that he's had thus far, it was against Randy Orton,
Mhm.
against
I was about to
Bastion
say,
Berlin.
yeah, I was about to say Randy's match was probably my favorite between those two. But yeah, like I said, I personally, my opinion, I've never gotten the hype of Gunther, and but yeah, I just
But he told great stories in the mid card. I think part of it was because he was a dominant champion against plucky mid carders for the
yeah,
most part. I think why it's been a lot harder is because he's no longer the dominant guy in the main event scene. You're
yeah,
facing against people who are supposed to be dominant.
yeah,
That's why they had to pull up Jey Uso to get that plucky underdog feel, because everybody that he's faced Two, he hasn't even faced people like Punk, like Rollins, like McIntyre,
Yeah.
people who were on Raw.
Who are over on SmackDown right now fighting on.
And there's nothing wrong with what he did against Damian Priest. I'm not saying that those matches were bad. I'm just saying that they unfortunately weren't all that memorable.
Yeah.
Because they all ended in Finn
Interfering, yeah.
Which is a shame because, again, a moment with Damian Priest and the world title contendership being ruined by his Judgment Day storyline.
Yeah.
It's like, what? We can't have a match where Damian Priest has unfettered access to a championship challenge. It's like, come on now. His entire world championship run and his entire defense of the title, and then afterwards his entire challenging to Gunther was all interrupted by interference.
Yeah, because and I'll bring up the Judgment Day too. I think that group has run its course anyways. I think Finn's a world champion by the end of 2025. If they get rid of the Judgment Day. If they keep the Judgment Day until the end of 2025, like the rest of the year, Finn will not win a world title. Whether WWE may give him the world title, but it won't be memorable because he's got that group, and he had the Universal title less than a day because he tore his shoulder.
Right.
That guy deserves a title run. He realistically he should have probably beat Brock Lesnar at Royal Rumble, in my opinion. They could have pulled that card and given him a title reign and
could have
whatever, but obviously they were setting up for Brock Roman 75 at WrestleMania 34. So, we got to pull that for the third time, but may have been only their second time. I'm sorry, but it's like. But that group has just gone on long enough, and it started out kind of cool, but then when they kicked Edge out, literally the day he cuts his hair, the day he gets a new theme song, it's like, oh hey, guess what? Yeah, you're out of here. It's like, okay.
The Judgment Day is such an interesting group to look at in the terms of WWE. It's gone through two regimes, Vince and Triple H. It's gone through multiple leadership changes, multiple character changes, multiple group incarnations. It's so interesting. And I don't know where that puts Finn, because the real question is, can you make Finn an interesting character enough for people to look at on his own? Do you think if they brought back the Demon, and I'm not saying that they will, I'm not saying that they should, but if they brought back the Demon, do you think that would be enough for people to get interested in Finn Balor again?
I wouldn't say it'd be enough. It would be a start, but there's a lot of things he would have to do to get fans to be super excited again. I just think he has the potential to be a world champion, so that's why I said he will be a champion if he gets rid of the Judgment Day. Because he's a very talented athlete, and I think he's one of the best in the business that WWE has right now. It's just they're not utilizing that, and they've never utilized that. I don't even want to know what his run could have been if he never got hurt.
Right.
We'll never know, but
and as much as Finn Balor is an impressive piece of work as far as WWE characters goes, his character is still in the Judgment Day entertaining enough. The Judgment Day, they have very little heat.
Mm-hmm.
The most heat that they have is Dom and Liv. Balor, Carlito, they've got nothing.
That's a man that's going to win a world championship this year.
Yeah, you talked to Elijah.
He's sitting there playing video games. He's going to be a world champion on WWE 2K25 here, people. You just watch. Watch next week. I guarantee you, but I finally did it. They're like, dude, you're still playing the video game. I know, but I still did it.
Yeah, Raquel's got no heat, only because she's attached to Liv Morgan. Finn's got zero heat. Dominic and Liv are the stars of the group. And if you're going to have a Judgment Day continue, it's through them.
Yeah.
It's through those two. And it may just even merge into something like a Lucha Group 2.0 by the time that the year's over with.
I saw a post from, I think it said WWE Deutschland. It was like a they had like ping pong paddles. One said him, the other side said me. The other one said her, the other side said me. Dom and Liv did a couples thing. I'm like, hold up. I get you're trying to play the character, but it's like, come on, Dom. Like, you're doing way too much for this story. Like, you're supposed to be married. Like,
Hey, that's what happens when you're an actor.
they're really comfortable,
Yeah.
in my opinion. But anyways,
Well, yeah. I'm comfortable with
that's
Liv.
he's a little too comfortable with Liv, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyways,
But they're the ones that have the most heat.
yeah.
And going back to, yes, Finn Balor would have been a good Universal Champion, but in my opinion, I think they made the better choice. I think Kevin Owens, and we're seeing it to this day, Kevin Owens is the much better character
Well,
than Finn Balor is. And they did that
okay.
based on
You
happenstance.
bring up if Finn never got hurt, who knows if KO would have been world champion? Finn could have had a long title run. I mean, we just don't know, and that's why
Yeah.
I like Kevin Owens' title run, because he cause obviously Triple H helped him, but it got ruined by Oldberg, but yeah, if Finn never got hurt, we may not have gotten Kevin Owens' title run yet. We probably would have gotten one a couple years later, but not at that moment.
Right.
I do agree with you though. It's like Kevin is the most polished character we have right now, and his heel work's doing great. Him and Reigns are gonna have a blowout match at Mania. Probably the match of the night, could be.
But Finn's gone through so many different incarnations.
Yeah.
I was there at the Rumble, and yes, the reaction that he got was partially due to his theme song. But man, nobody cheered for him. Nobody reacted to him.
Okay, nobody's reacting to Bianca nowadays, but you know.
What?
Okay.
Get out of here with that.
No.
Bianca's not a main eventer crap.
Okay, did you hear the crowds? When she held that title up last week? Nothing. Absolute silence.
Yeah, but they still make noise when she comes out for her entrance.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, they make noise, but other than that, it's like that crowds are like you hear a pin drop.
Well, just because they don't want to see Bianca as champion doesn't mean that they don't want to see Bianca in the ring. Those don't translate.
I don't want to see this match Mania anyways. I'm getting over this. We're gonna go off Finn Balor here because we're getting into, we're now talking about something completely different because
Well, a little more meaningful. The main event.
yeah. And it's I'm so annoyed with Rhea Ripley.
Wow, it ended in DQ. Who would have thought?
Who would have flippin' guessed? Because man, why? Why can't we just get an Io Sky title reign without any bullcrap? Why do we need to add? Why do we need another triple threat match at Mania? Go ahead.
I got nothing. I got nothing.
I'm over Rhea acting like a spoiled brat, not getting what she wants. And it's like Batista coming out, give me what I want. It's like, Rhea, you've had your matches, you lost, get over it. Move on to after Backlash. There we go. Winner of the match at Mania goes against Rhea at Backlash. There we go. But let's not put this as a triple threat match.
They ran into the problem where all three of those people are popular enough to warrant being on the Mania card, and all three of them are popular enough to warrant being in a championship match.
Oh, and I understand that, but you can only, in my opinion, unless that match goes on Sunday, are they gonna put two triple threat matches on the same card? Or are they going to put one on Saturday? Obviously, we know the main event is night one. They have to put the women's world title. Unless they what they could do, and I would be okay with them doing this if they're going to keep it as a triple threat. The triple threat for the women. Obviously, we know the Punk, Rollins, and Reigns is going to be main event night one.
Yeah.
Charlotte Tiffany has to go on Saturday for that match to be okay to be
Triple
a
threat.
triple
yeah.
threat. Because if you put two triple threat matches on the same card, that's rough. That's a lot of stuff you have to compact on one show if you're going to have 5 matches a card.
Well, and that's why they have 2 days. Yeah.
So
They can have the triple threat on the next day, night 2, Sunday, and then they can have the other triple threat, night 1, main event.
yeah. Boy.
Yeah, overall, I get the sense, and I'm sure you'll probably agree with me. Let us know what you think. WWE is taking a lot of, because there's so much time into Mania, they're taking a lot of the feuds that make sense and that we see where they're going with it, and they're doing this.
Yeah.
They're stretching it. They're sucking the life out of it because it's like, here's this thing that you wanted. Now here's 8 weeks of it. You know what the conclusion is. We're not going to tell you what the conclusion is, but you know what it is.
Yeah, and that's why I said they've backed themselves into a corner, because if Mania was this Saturday, we'd be having a totally different conversation right now.
Yeah.
Me and him would be more excited than we look.
Well, and we'd have concrete matches announced.
Right.
Not that we don't now, but at the same time, the Women's World Championship match that we all clearly see that we're heading towards hasn't even been announced.
Yeah.
Like, come on now. Where are we going with this? The Intercontinental Championship match that I think we see where we're going with there hasn't been announced. They announced something for Logan Paul and AJ Styles before they announced something for the Intercontinental Championship.
Right, and that's another thing.
That was set up with just him calling him out over 2 weeks. It's like, okay, wow. So AJ Styles was doing something with Braun Breaker in the IC Championship. Then he was doing something with Cross. And now, because Logan Paul calls him out, WWE's like, this is what we're doing with AJ Styles.
Yeah, and in my opinion, that's a slap to the face to AJ Styles. That's a huge slap in the face. Logan Paul, I hate to admit this, but he's an okay wrestler. But you're giving him top level competitors for what?
Well, and
Oh, I know, because you forked over all this money for him to be a part of your company. So you're going to put him in the main event scene for no fucking reason, pardon my French.
so, I mean, this has minimal build. And one could argue that it doesn't need a whole lot of build. It's established WWE wrestler, AJ Styles.
Hates YouTuber Logan Paul.
Looks at Logan Paul. He's smug, someone who's been skyrocketed, has a lot of talent, and they see that he's got a lot of talent, and he wants to beat him up because of that.
Although that move he did was kind of cool.
It was.
Yeah, that was kind of a cool move. So, bravo, Logan, because that was kind of a cool move.
We've still got a few weeks until Mania. I would say this. If you're going to try to make AJ Styles look like he's knows what he's doing, have him talk less. Have him beat up Logan more.
Yeah, if Logan shows up.
Well, yeah.
And
that's probably the other thing, too. The reason why they couldn't build the feud like that is because Logan may not have shown up as much.
Again, I brought this point up either last week or last episode or the episode before. If you are going to be a full-time WWE superstar, you have to show up every single week. There for a minute, going into Elimination Chamber, he actually showed up every week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But now it's like, oh, he shows up Monday after 4 weeks off? That's not a full-time superstar. You're not doing the tours. You're not doing the Monday nights. Like, you're not there. Go do your boxing match with your brother. Come back when you feel like you just want to stay in the company. Like, because you obviously you have 1,000 other things outside that we get that. But if you're going to claim, oh, I'm going to be a full-time, I'm going to just do nothing but WWE, then make that your focus. If 2026 we get nothing but Logan Paul, I might respect it. But until he pulls the actual every single week, every single tour, I can't respect that. And I hope AJ Styles beats the absolute piss out of him at WrestleMania. Spoiler alert, not really. But that's my winner for Mania is AJ Styles.
I think this is a very interesting match. I do because regardless of the story, regardless of the build-up, this is a very interesting match because it's a clash of styles. A very talented celebrity wrestler. I I hesitate to call him that because at this point, yes, he is good enough to be on the roster.
Yeah.
It's not like he's not. When I say celebrity, his status as a celebrity still overtakes his status as a
Right.
WWE wrestler. And why you said what you said is still the case.
Mhm.
And I respect him for what he's done. I respect him for the talent that he has and the work and the desire that he has to put in
Right.
towards wrestling. I do. But you can't call yourself a WWE wrestler until that is your life.
Right.
And I guess that opens a whole can of worms of like, well, there's been other people like Brock Lesnar who work that kind of schedule and he's still a WWE wrestler. But yes, however, that was Brock Lesnar's life.
But
He didn't do anything else except for wrestling.
Right, and Brock earned that because in
This is
2002
true, yeah.
all the way up to 2004, he did nothing but WWE. And then he's like, you know what? I just got burnt out. I'm gonna go try NFL. Didn't cut it out, unfortunately, because I think he could have been a really good football player. Went to the UFC, dominated the UFC. Didn't do anything else on the side other than UFC. He did like the UFC Fight Night show or whatever shows they do, like the Ultimate Fighter. That's what it is. He did that, so he was a coach on there. And then he was like, you know what? I'm going to try it again. He came back. They made him a part timer ish because that's who Brock Lesnar is. Obviously we don't know Brock, but if you've read anything about Brock Lesnar, that guy doesn't like cameras. He lives on a farm and nobody knows where the hell his house is. So I did see a video though. Two guys that I think were actually on his farm. They were like grilling out, and like the stack of meat was like that thick and like that long. It was like a big old tomahawk. But yeah, so like Brock's the country dude. Like he doesn't. I don't even think he has an iPhone. He probably has a flip phone.
Well, and with that, they WWE mimicked like it was UFC.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar showed up in time for fights, and it made them big time feel, much like UFC does with their guys. They wait 2 to 3 months before they have a fight because they need to train. They need to build up the hype.
Right.
Yeah.
They'll announce it before.
Whereas Logan Paul, he's just a douchey internet celebrity who decided I want to be a wrestler one day. That doesn't give you the right to claim that you're full time and still only show up sparingly.
As I said, Logan Paul, if you decided to do WWE full time in 2026, I would respect it. But I know for a fact you won't because you have other million things going on, which we're not dogging that. You are a self-made multi-millionaire, probably billionaire at this point because you've created a business that you love. You created the Prime. You have your own like thing on one of the TV shows. Like
his own podcast.
Right,
yeah.
you've got your podcast. You've got a million things going on, which we respect that. But please consider don't call yourself a full-timer. If you're going to be a full-timer, cut all that stuff out. You have business partners for a reason. You can still focus on other things, but
feasibly.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about this feasibly, what does his schedule need to look like if he's a full-timer? If he's there on Raw every single week, but he's not doing live shows.
If you show up to Raw every single week and have actual meaningful storylines, I would respect that.
Okay.
Every Monday or every Friday, good storylines, and not just get handed title match after title match after title match after title match. Because he went against Roman for no reason.
Well,
which was a pretty solid match, but still. Went after Cody for no reason. And they got the U.S. title for no reason. It's like you haven't earned those. You just stepped over so many guys who have been in this business for so long.
just because he's an attraction.
Exactly. But like I said, if he was there Monday after Monday after Monday, all of 2026, and had good feuds, I would respect that.
And to be fair, a guy like Pat McAfee can almost do that. Pat's been there every week
Yeah,
with
for
some
them.
few exceptions.
Yeah.
And we understand that. I find it hard to believe. Yes, Logan's got a lot. I don't want to say a lot more, but Logan's got probably a fuller plate than Pat
Yeah.
does. But Pat has his ESPN show that he does every week.
Right.
Not only does he have his own podcast, he's got some business adventures there, and he's got context. It's not like Pat's not a busy guy,
Right.
but he still makes the time to show up every Monday.
Yeah. Whether in his obviously he's an Indiana guy because he played for the Colts for 10 years or whatever, but he's got his podcast or his talk show, whatever, Talk with Pat or Pat Talk or whatever it's called. That's downtown. The minute he's done with that, he's like, oh, I gotta get on a plane to go to Raw. It's like, and he does that show every day. Now he does Raw once a week. That's fine. He doesn't have to. He's not a competitor though. He's the commentator to where he can do the once a week kind of thing. He doesn't have to go out and be like, oh, I'm gonna go wrestle every night. It's like, no. Pat shows up, commentates, goes home, and does his business.
But with that said, if Logan decides that every Monday he's going to show up, I think that's enough to consider him full time. What do you think?
I would agree with that 100%. I'm not worried about the live events because I think they're trying to cut those out too. So that we may be getting less live events in the future. But
if he's on our TV screens every week, every Monday, with some exceptions, I think there's some leniency. I'm not.
I would agree with leniency because your body goes through a lot, and you gotta relax. And then obviously things happen outside of WWE. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's got the perfect world out there.
Right. Even Seth Rollins might miss a couple episodes of Raw.
Right,
here
and
there.
that's fine because life happens. You've got a kid. I don't know how old his kid is yet, but I guarantee you his kid's first birthday, he's not going anywhere but being there for his kid, which respect. But because it's family.
Yeah.
Family will always come first no matter what. So if there's like, okay, let's say we've got 52 weeks. If he shows up 45 of those, 40, I'll give him 40. I'll say 40 because that's 52 weeks is a lot of weeks. So I'll give him 40 Mondays. If he shows up for 40 Mondays throughout the year, I will be fine.
Start the calendar, KTE viewers. 40 weeks.
40 weeks of Logan Paul on Monday night. Logan, I don't know if you'll ever see this, but I do respect you as a person and a competitor, but please show up more.
I do respect you, bro.
I respect you, bro. I do.
Okay, let's bro out.
Let's bro out then. Let's bro. You want to bro out? Oh man, but
yeah. So that match was just announced. AJ Styles versus Logan Paul, and as much as I'm angry that we don't have more story than what we got, and we got the mess of the promo that we had on Monday.
Well, we still, like I've said, we've still got 16 days until Mania, so they have 2 weeks to build this up.
Yes, yeah.
And as long as Logan shows up the next 2 weeks, because that's another problem we're about to run into, Cena's gone.
Right.
He's not coming back. Cody has to carry this feud. Now, we got to talk a little something about their John Cena decided to pop off on Cody a little bit.
Yeah, so the last thing we really need to talk about, other than, Chad Gable still being sick this week, T's and P's, T's and P's.
He'll be there next week. He'll be able to wrestle next week, though.
No, he's sick.
He said he'll be able to wrestle next week because, it's in his hometown.
Yeah, but Adam Pearce told him no, because the doctors know. See, look, Nick Aldis, I'm going to dog on SmackDown. Nick Aldis, you're a great wrestler. One of the best in NWA, and you did pretty well as Magnus. But you don't have the care for your competitors like Adam Pearce does. He looked at Chad Gable and said, no, listen, I know you want to be there in your hometown, but your doctor's note, it's saying that you're sick, and I'm looking out for your well-being.
Oh, the fakest cough ever.
Plus, El Grande Americano is going to make another appearance next week in Minnesota.
Okay.
One of the great American cities.
Chad, hope you feel better, buddy.
Yeah, our thoughts and prayers are with you.
Ugh, man, that's
But outside of that, outside of El Grande Americano making his grand appearance next week, and Chad Gable still being sick, we have the ultimate promo. Last week we talked about saying it needs to be a war of words. And it's been interesting because you're gonna provide your perspective, but I have seen two different minds about this promo battle.
mhm.
I've seen people saying, "Wow, Cody really stepped up to the plate," but I've also seen people like your reaction. I've also seen people say, "Cody got buried, he got dogged. Cena, he sicked him on the mic." So tell us where you stay on this.
In the middle
Are you? Okay.
because yes, Cody decided to bring up Stardust, and he was like, "And I got a list, so you're gonna have I have chosen my S's." Cody, I do love you, man. But I don't know. I do think Cena destroyed him on the mic. I'm not gonna say he didn't, because Cena kind of roasted him, leaving and going and stealing money from kids. So you know, um, and the fact that Cena finally got to just call out the fans and say, you know what, everybody says I bury talent. He goes, no, I buried mediocrity. It's like,
Mm,
oh, but I wouldn't say he got buried. I would say he did get beat on the mic 100%.
okay. Okay.
And I saw a post actually. It was three pictures. It was Cena Rock 2012, Cena Roman 2017, and Cena Cody 2025. He cooked all three of them. Whether he didn't, like I said, he didn't bury Cody,
Cooked him.
but he cooked him on the mic. And yeah, and the what I didn't like though is the I'm gonna attack him, because that was the weakest try ever.
Oh, from Cena,
He was
yeah.
just like, and then he was like, and then he was like, okay. It's like, come on, Cena, you're better than that. Like,
He's
it,
showing his acting skills.
he did at the Rumble too.
Huh? Huh?
Like, he jumped down. It's like, had Jay super kicked him and he would have fallen, I would have respected that. But John was just like, huh.
I don't understand how somebody who can be as talented as he is at acting and portraying emotion can be so silly.
bad.
How is he always so silly?
Oh man,
Huh?
but it was definitely what we needed though, and it was the war words we needed. Now, as I said just a bit ago, Cena's gone. He's not coming back till Mania, supposedly. Rumor is he's not coming back next week. He's not coming back the week of Mania. Um, but and then I've also got another problem with. Yeah, okay, Cody's champion, and he technically doesn't have to wrestle on the shows. But another way to build this feud up the next 2 weeks is put Cody in matches the next couple weeks, because he can only talk so much on the mic.
Yeah, I would agree.
And if you're gonna play the Cena, like, getting in Cody's mind, because now that he obviously Cody did the Cody cut or whatever to him, or Crossroads. He did Crossroads to Cena on Monday, so he got his redemption for getting beat up. But now that that's over, why don't you throw a little bit of, like, Cena's music in the middle of the match and cost Cody, and Cody be like, the Monday before Mania or the Friday before Mania, he goes, Cena, stop with the mind games or something, just going off on Cena. And then there we go, we got then we got our main event at Mania night too. But I do think it was a solid segment. Like I said, it was the moment we needed between those two.
The war of words.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they pick up on this, because if Cena really is gone for the next couple of weeks, because I think we got 2 Raws
2 Raws and 2 SmackDowns.
since his last appearance since on Monday.
Mhm.
It'll be interesting how they do this, because you can't have 4 shows where Cody doesn't have a match. I understand he hasn't had a match since, but that's okay because it's the aftermath of what Cena did to him at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
But to be able to showcase his like last year, for instance, when Cody went against Solo before Mania, we need a moment like that where Cody has some sort of challenge to showcase. Is he really prepared for Mania? Because at this point, has he wrestled since the Royal Rumble?
Elimination Chamber.
He didn't wrestle then.
Wasn't that the Kevin Owens and no, that was Kevin versus no.
See, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking he hasn't wrestled since February 1st.
Wow.
I could be wrong at that.
Look into this.
Yeah, because he may have had like a tag team
like
match,
a SmackDown or a Raw, but wow, I don't know if he has.
Because I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but just the thought in my head of like he's had so many little matches on TV since February 1st.
Yeah.
If he's had it, it's been a tag match here and there. Nothing meaningful.
Yeah.
So if we can get a Cody match right before Mania to showcase, okay, his skills are still in sharp condition.
Yeah.
And we get a little storyline peppering of, oh, is Cena really in his head? Or
because then you can have him lose. If you want to throw a little curveball and have Cody kind of not doubting himself, but have everybody like, oh, is Cena really in Cody's head? Cody could get rolled up pin, and there you go. Like,
if I were gonna have him lose, I'd have him lose in a tag match.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have him be pinned.
No, I wouldn't. It wouldn't be 1-on-1. It'd be like Cody and Randy versus Drew and I don't know, Carmelo Hayes. I don't know, just a random character. But yeah, I would have him lose in a tag match like he did at WrestleMania Night 1 last year when he took the pin. It's like, oh shit, The Rock pinned Cody. Like then Cody's like, I gotta figure out what to do tomorrow. It's like, yeah, have him lose in a tag match, the SmackDown or Raw before Mania, or the Raw before Mania, have him come in on SmackDown and be like, come out on SmackDown and be like, I don't know, and then just be like, maybe I am over my head, but I don't know. Like I said, there's still so much time.
The other alternative is you smell that?
You smell what The Rock's cooking?
Yeah, that's the alternative. Is within the next 2 weeks we get a surprise return from the final boss. I have no idea. I have no basis on thinking
I don't
that.
either.
But what if he just shows up and then that is your go home promos?
So then The Rock talks for Cena, kind of.
Yeah. I don't know. It's maybe. I feel like with 2 weeks left of Mania, you can't pull the card of there's no go home show.
Yeah.
But that could be what their thought is because of their packed schedule during Mania week.
Yeah.
The thought is because there's so many shows, that'll build the hype rather than doing something specifically on Raw or specifically on SmackDown to garner interest.
But we want to talk about Mania real quick. They're saying this is going to be the lowest attended Mania since WrestleMania 22.
What?
That's what the rumors are. Like, I saw a post, and there's still, 5,000 tickets left that need to be sold. Like, they're just not selling out.
I have a hard time believing that because it's 2 nights.
Yeah,
are you telling me that over the course of 2 nights we can't get potentially 70,000 people?
You have to also look at where it's at.
It's in Vegas, yeah.
You know what happens in Vegas? Gambling happens in Vegas.
Yeah, okay.
People just, if they go to Vegas, a lot of people like to gamble. So it's like it's hard to come up with money if they're just gambling at all. So it's like it's hard to go, and obviously you can buy these tickets months out, but it's like,
yeah.
I'll look more into it once we get done with this. But yeah, I saw there were still 5,000 tickets each night. They're still available.
I'd say that's a good, interesting statistic to bring up on our Mania showcase here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
That would be something I think would be very interesting to talk about.
Yeah, I agree.
Just the state of WWE at Mania season.
Yeah, I'll look more into it. So here in 2 weeks when we do our WrestleMania predictions, I'll give you guys the the lowdown.
Yeah, Wednesday, April 16th is when we're recording it. So we will try our best to get. It'll be a two-parter because there's 2 nights. There's so many matches to talk about. There's plenty of predictions to throw out. It'll be a two-parter. So hopefully we can get part 1 by April 16th.
Mm-hmm.
But if not, it'll definitely be done before April.
Before April 19th.
Yeah, April 19th, the WrestleMania Saturday. It'll definitely be done before then. That's for sure. Yeah, as far as my thoughts go on the Cena Rhodes stuff, it's just we've gotten them back to back to back, week to week to week, in the sense that it's kind of lost its luster of. I thought Cody would be a little more aggressive than he would.
I also thought Cena was going to be a lot more aggressive than he has been. Because after beating the crap out of Cody, you're like, oh, we got heel Cena.
His whole gimmick is, though, that Cody's been beneath him, that
Yeah.
he's not had to worry about this. He broke up with the WWE Universe, and he's not worried about Cody. So all of this is just beneath him.
I'm still waiting for that text message, the I'm sorry text message from John. You know, he broke up with the universe. I'm still waiting for that text, John. Like, come on, bro. But I do like this heelish John Cena. I like how he's attacking the crowd. I think it's something we haven't had in a long time. I think JBL did really well with doing that. He'd always blame the crowd for the most part. So I think Cena's doing great with that because he's like, you guys for 25 years have put me in a button of a joke that I started 13 years ago, and it's still funny, John.
You talk to Elijah, he does not like Cena's heel stuff.
And
he thinks it's all.
We're gonna have a discussion when we have our predictions.
It'll be interesting because Elijah's got a lot of comments that he's been making.
Predictions are gonna be so fun, guys. Please join us in 2 weeks. Keep joining us every week, but
in 2 weeks, yeah, it'll be very interesting when we get all 3 of us together.
It's gonna be a long day.
That's for sure.
That's all I got on that part. It's gonna be a long day.
But no, he when he's been watching Cena do his stick, he's just like, oh, it's all.
Yeah, well, never mind. Anyways,
yeah, bite your tongue for a couple more weeks.
But going back to the whole promo thing, I think it was done well. I think they both brought up some personal shots at each other.
Yeah.
Cena brought up somebody we don't talk about, Vince McMahon. He makes billionaires and Cody steals money from kids,
they both did.
Yeah.
Because he brought it up in the sense of you were chosen by another guy,
Yeah.
being Vince, and then of course in the sense that John Cena brought him up as well.
Yeah. And it's like they're bringing up personal things, and it was good. I don't think it should have ended with Cody hitting the crossroads. I think it should have just been whatever, just letting Cena walk out, do his normal heelish thing, hold up his things like. But
well, it was weird how it happened too, because I think that is a powerful ending. If Cena's not going to be here, you need that stinger for the road to WrestleMania.
yeah,
And having Cody on top is a good stinger of, oh, maybe he can't do this. And he gets his revenge
right
from Elimination Chamber. I think that's a good stinger. But how it happened, it was kind of awkward in the way that it was executed.
Yeah.
He was there, then he wasn't, then he threw a really weak punch, and Cody took advantage of that. But maybe within the next couple of weeks, we'll see that Cena did that on purpose.
Maybe.
It's like, I baited Cody Rhodes. But it'll be weird, Cena not being there. I don't know how you're going to effectively build the tension.
It's gonna be hard. Like I said, this would have been a perfect go home Monday Night Raw for Mania for that moment.
Yeah.
Because then you have Cody standing tall over Cena, looking at the WrestleMania sign and saying, "I'll see you Sunday," kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if it is true that we don't we don't see Cena for the next 2 weeks, Cody has a lot to talk about. And he's going to ask, what do you guys want to talk about? Because we don't know what to talk about because Cena's gone for 2 weeks.
Well, in this case, he's gotten the upper hand on him. What does Cody have? I mean, yes, he does have stuff he can talk about, but because there are still lingering.
Right.
But what does he talk about? I got the better hand of John Cena. Okay, well, in this instance, something's gonna have to happen to Cody within the next couple of weeks to put doubt in his mind about
Yeah.
this whole situation, to keep the story interesting and engaging. But so the question I got for you and for the viewers, it's not a topic question, it's just a question that we're throwing out there. What is the most interesting storyline this year so far for Mania? And we'll extend that into the match you're most excited about.
Storyline wise, is it, it's hard to say because I really want to pull the IC title, but as I stated earlier, you can't if they're gonna go the route I thought they might with the IC title is a fatal 4-way.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have a fatal 4-way, a triple threat match. Like there's just too much in one. I mean, you could, but like you'd have to open the show with that, in my opinion.
Mm.
But so if they're gonna go with the, I think storyline wise is probably Braun Breaker's IC title run so far.
So you're the
I,
most interested storyline wise in that?
I'm interested to see what they do with that. My match I'm most excited for, probably Jay after Monday.
Yeah?
I want to see Jay,
Okay.
what Jay's got to say Monday and next week and going into Mania. So, but yeah, that's.
Interesting. I feel like I need you to elaborate a little bit more on the IC championship. Is that
I just
is going
no,
even over?
I'm going
Oh,
since Braun's kind of been had. He had the AJ Styles, the Finn Balor, the Dom, the Penta. It's like
so you're
he's
thinking
had
all of these avenues that
all
are way
these
more interesting than Charlotte and
yes,
Tiffany and even the triple threat?
yes.
All
And
right.
are you talking about the women's triple threat or the men's?
No, I'm talking about over all of WWE.
No, I'm like storyline wise, yes, because we already knew most of these matches were gonna happen. They haven't announced the triple threat for the women, which we know it's gonna happen.
Okay, so to
Um,
you, what's potentially going to happen with the IC championship is more interesting than what we've already
yes,
got. Okay.
because we
Not that
don't.
the storyline's better, it's just more
It's just
intriguing.
more intriguing because it's like, is Braun going to get a fatal 4-way? Is he going against Penta? Are they going to put the match on Mania? Are they going to do it on Raw like they did with Io and Rhea? Like,
Mm.
what are they going to do with the IC title um, match at Mania? So I'm more intrigued by that story, like not, I guess storyline wise, over the triple threat for the women. Um, but match wise, it's got to. I'm going Jay
Mm.
because I want to see what Jay's got to say after everything that happened last week. So
Now, I understand that the palpable stakes of who is the best in WWE is enough for that the main event triple threat being Punk, Rollins, and Reigns, and the storyline between Rollins and Punk is in there, and then you got Reigns having peppered mixed with both of them. I understand that that's enough to make it the main event, but there's probably years prior in WWE that we could have had this as a WrestleMania main event, and it would have been fine because the story would have been enough, and I get that. But when you have two nights and you have titles that do have interesting stories, you can have a grudge match like that triple threat outside of the main event. So in order for that to main event the show, the triple threat, I want there to be a little more on the line than
yeah,
just blood feud bragging rights. But
hmm
that could be just me.
no,
Because like last year, the tag team that main evented night one, there were things on the line.
yeah,
It was stakes for the main event of WrestleMania for night two.
yeah,
It did mean something. And so for the triple threat to just main event the show just because it's a blood feud, it's like, well, we have a perfectly good title feud there.
right,
And I understand that Triple H's thought process, and I get this, it makes sense, is whatever's the hottest storyline deserves the main event. And that triple threat is what fans are the most behind.
yeah.
I get that. With that said, and answering my question, I am the most excited about that triple threat between Punk, Rollins, and Reigns. They're three of WWE's top guys. And with the triple threat action, you can hide their weaknesses, highlight their strengths.
Yeah, because I love CM Punk, but man, that guy, I don't know how much he's got left.
Well, and in the same token, Cena and Rhodes,
Yeah.
it's a one-on-one match that I don't know. I'm saying this because I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I don't know how hard Cena can go or is willing to go.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's going to be a match that's more so storyline smoke and mirrors than it is, hey, we're going to have a 25-minute match at WrestleMania. Because we could find ourselves in the match is only 15, 20 minutes. Or we could find ourselves in the match is 30 minutes, but 15 of those is storyline.
Cena laying on the ground most of the time.
And shenanigans that are going to happen within
Yeah.
that. And then entrances and all that. So I am intrigued on a base level because of that. But the match I'm looking forward to the most is the triple threat. Now, as far as storyline implications, the story that's gotten me the most interested over the course of Mania, I would say is probably KO and Orton.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the Cena storyline. It's very intriguing. But I think they've kind of fallen flat on that.
Yeah. I agree.
The triple threat that we have, the main, well, even the championship triple threat, I think they've fallen flat on that. And it wasn't all that interesting of a story to begin with. I was more interested in terms of match quality. The storyline for KO and Orton, there's so much layers in between that not only is with them but extends over to Cody Rhodes too in the main event WWE Championship. This could easily, it's not going to be, but this is easily a number one contendership kind of match.
I agree.
Plus the idea that we might be able to make this a blood match of Extreme Rules or Falls Count Anywhere. There's still that extra layer deep of that.
I think they got to do some sort of something with that match. There's too much at stake with this match between KO and Randy. There's too much bad blood between those two since KO dropped him on his head. It's like, and Randy wants to punt the crap out of him. It's like, look, let these two go balls to the walls, put them in an Extreme Rules match. There you go. Or Hell in a Cell or a Steel Cage or something. But lock these two up or just let these two go just wherever they want. Falls Count Anywhere, some sort of stipulation.
And they're two of WWE's most interesting personalities. Yeah. That's why the storyline that they've gotten is really interesting to me.
Yeah.
So I am excited to see the match, but not as excited as I am for the triple threat because I think the triple threat
is
it very well could be the match of the weekend.
I could see that. I think it would be a good match for the weekend. A good candidate for the match of the weekend.
I think your prediction a couple of weeks ago, what was it? Whatever they're gonna do with the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. You think that's gonna be match of the weekend, or has your position changed?
Probably not because I don't know what they're doing with that. I don't know what they're doing with the other tag division over there on Raw.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that because I was so mad about. So the equivalency of what happened with the tag team division on Raw is they brought back Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne in England only to have them lose to the New Day, who have done nothing with their heel run, only for the New Day to have one good win and the Viking. Sorry. I insulted them for no reason. In order to have the War Raiders come out, raise their titles, boom. That has been your tag team division of Raw for the past 4 weeks. We've barely gotten anything on that. And that's why we almost didn't even talk about it, because WWE has just decided that they're going to...
They introduced the titles. They were cool. Not so much.
It makes me so upset because SmackDown can have a thriving tag division full of people like the Motor City Machine Gun, Street Profits.
Where we're winning.
Yeah. So that makes me angry.
He gave me the right show. That was his fault.
Yeah, you're stealing some of our wrestlers too.
I don't make the rules, brother.
Yeah, I know
I'm
you
sorry.
Yeah, I guess at least we got.
This is my GM mode in real life.
Yeah.
No,
At least
sorry.
we're getting Cena and Cody.
I'm sorry, we're the commissioners. We'll go back. We'll bring the commissioners back.
Oh my gosh.
We'll go back to Shane and Daniel Bryan and Stephanie and Mick Foley.
Bang bang.
Bang bang. Yes.
With that said, we want to bring it to you. A couple of things that we got going on in the pipeline. I apologize. Last week kind of got away from me. I ended up having a little behind-the-scenes baseball. I ended up having some family commitments last week, and I was not able to get out the Remember When episode. So that is showing up tomorrow, Friday. That's going forward. Whenever we do Remember When episodes, they will always be Friday. And Topic Questions itself will be showing up that same day. It'll be a double feature, and we don't do that very often. But I wanted to make it up to you guys, and I wanted to have a double feature for one day. So it's gonna be quite a bit of content over today and tomorrow. But stick around, especially throughout Mania season, because I promise you it's gonna get a lot more jam packed.
Yep. We're not always gonna be this annoyed with WWE. We're gonna get better after Mania season, in my opinion, because Mania season just drug on a little too long. But
It's what happens when you leave us with too much time. We get antsy because not that there was because right before Rumble there was a whole lot of time of just waiting.
Mm-hmm.
We had the Netflix debut, and so we had that to kind of tire us over. But there was no pay-per-view for 2 months, and then you had the Royal Rumble. Okay. And then we knew what was happening afterwards with Mania matches. So Connor was already looking past it, and he was hating the Elimination Chamber.
I said get rid of Elimination Chamber, and then all of a sudden, bam! It's
they
like,
pulled him back in.
It's like bet, and then now they're pushing me out the door a little bit.
Yeah, a month and a half, 10 weeks.
Son of a bitch! Pardon my language.
Yeah, so we'll get hyped back up for Mania, but this is. In being a fan, and because WWE is around so long over the year, it's year round. There's always going to be so highs and lows and
right
lulls.
now we're in the middle because it's like we're not low, but we're not like hyped up like we normally are.
Because they do have some exciting things, like we've talked about. There are some exciting things that we've seen on the show, but when everything else is kind of an autopilot,
yeah,
how hyped can you feel? Because when it's just
yeah, instead of going do 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 do
yeah,
do do, it's just do do do. It's like, oh, okay.
And you shouldn't feel that way at Mania season.
No.
But I don't know what next year's schedule is going to look like. But for this year, April 16th, Mania predictions. The week before that Wednesday is when we're planning on recording. We'll get those videos out to you guys soon. So stick around. But until then, remember when and Topic Questions will hit your way tomorrow. Until then, this has been Connor, Tyler, not Elijah, on the KTE Wrestling Podcast.